When we talk about life, the only real consistency is change, isn't it? It's just always there, humming along.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
we all know that applies to our mental health too.
Yeah.
Good days, bad days. That ebb and flow is normal.
Right, totally normal. But the thing that can really trip us up isn't always the big, obvious crisis.
Hmm.
It's often those subtle shifts, those almost invisible changes that happen over time. Suddenly you find you've drifted way off
Yeah.
course.
Without even realizing you pulled up the anchor.
Exactly. So to keep those tougher times from getting out of hand, and importantly, to remind yourself you can shift back,
Mm,
you need to spot the signs early.
right.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's look at 4 crucial signs of struggle that often hide in plain sight.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We want to move beyond just saying, I feel stressed or a bit down.
Yeah, get more specific.
Exactly. Give you practical things to look for, real markers that show a shift is happening. So you can be, well, a better monitor of your own mental climate. Okay, so the first area, it's maybe the toughest one, honestly, because it's a bit of a paradox. We're talking about a drop in brain functioning.
Uh-huh, the command center itself.
Right. You need your brain to notice that your brain isn't working quite right. That takes a huge amount of self-awareness. How do you check the tool when the tool itself might be, well, glitching?
That really is the ultimate catch-22, isn't it? So how do you even begin to develop that self-awareness? I guess you have to learn to observe yourself.
That's the idea, training yourself to kind of mentally hang out on the outside and just watch. Observe your own behavior, your reactions, your thoughts, almost like you're watching someone else.
Okay, so if you manage to do that, what are the practical signs? It's probably not like suddenly forgetting calculus, right?
Ha, no, usually not that dramatic. It's more about the small, consistent things, like getting distracted much more easily than usual.
Or that feeling of persistent brain fog,
Yeah.
just hazy.
Exactly, that brain fog. And critically, a kind of failure in executive function, like making decisions, planning.
Ah, so that's where the ineffective solutions come in.
That's a key part of it, yes.
Yeah.
The failure of executive function. You try to solve these deep internal issues with really simple, often external fixes. Your system's overloaded, so it just grabs the easiest thing.
Like the classic, a cheeseburger will make everything better thought.
Precisely. It's that momentary balm, because the cognitive exhaustion means you just don't have the energy for real problem solving.
Okay.
But here's the really insidious part. How easily we rationalize it. Oh, just busy, or didn't sleep well last night because of that big review.
Right, easy excuses.
Very easy. But if those things, the fog, the quick fixes, the distraction, are happening often enough that you can observe them, well, you might already be sliding down that slope.
Hmm.
We really can't stress enough, maybe even jot things down, physical notes. Because when the command center is compromised, memory and objectivity, they're often the first things to get fuzzy.
Good point. Takes the load off your potentially foggy brain.
Okay, so if the command center is struggling, finding it hard to process things, it makes sense that one reaction might be to just
Yeah.
withdraw, right?
Okay.
Turn inward.
Exactly.
We all need alone time. That's healthy. But when does that happy solitude cross the line into something more like constant isolation? Where's that boundary?
It's a really important distinction. The shift from just needing some social distance to actual social isolation. It might seem subtle in how it starts, but it's quite different in nature.
How so?
Well, social distance is often passive, like you just don't feel up to accepting an invitation, you lack the energy. Social isolation, though, that's kind of the next level. It involves active effort.
Active effort to avoid people.
Yes, you're actively working to stay away.
So it's not just saying, oh, I'm too tired tonight. It's more like canceling plans you already made, maybe ignoring calls, or even like making up reasons not to see people. Exactly that. Creating methods, plans, specifically to avoid social interaction. It's almost like self-marginalization. You're deliberately building a wall.
Wow, okay. That's a conscious choice then, even if it doesn't feel great.
Often, yeah. And when this kind of active avoidance is tied to mental health, the root is usually, suffering in silence.
And why does it become too much effort? Why build the wall?
Because the gap between how you feel inside, maybe turmoil, sadness, anxiety, and what you feel you have to project outside, like being happy or normal, that gap becomes just too wide.
The performance is exhausting.
Totally exhausted. The emotional labor is just too much. You get annoyed, just plain tired. The thought of putting on the mask again, pretending feels like the price of admission. You just can't afford it anymore.
Right.
And usually this retreat goes hand in hand with losing interest in other things, too. Even hobbies you used to love doing alone might not hold any appeal. The isolation becomes kind of total.
That exhaustion you just mentioned, the sheer drain from always performing, always managing, that leads us right into the next sign. This persistent low energy.
Hmm.
We all get tired, obviously. But here's where it gets really interesting, right? How can someone feel so completely wiped out day after day when they haven't, run a marathon or done some crazy workout?
Because the marathon is happening. It's just entirely internal. The energy drain is psychological, not physical.
Okay, explain that more. An internal marathon.
Yeah, think about it. If your emotions and feelings are constantly churning, constantly in conflict, internally you're playing referee all the time. You're mediating disputes inside your own head, acting as your own counselor, just trying to hold all the pieces together.
Wow, so like managing anxiety versus wanting to do something, or
Right.
fighting self-doubt.
Exactly. Your brain's resources are just getting eaten up by all this internal conflict management.
Yeah.
You're mediating fear versus desire, refereeing self-worth issues, running constant threat assessments on things that might not even happen.
That sounds exhausting just describing it.
It is exhausting. It's this relentless, often unrecognized emotional labor, this constant loop of anxiety and trying to regulate yourself. It drains your battery way faster than physical activity sometimes.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a profound kind of depletion,
Yes.
but it feels so physical, right? So how do you tell this apart from just, being biologically tired? If you go to a doctor, get checked out, and everything's physically okay, how do you recognize this as the cause?
That's the key question. The main clue is the consistency and the quality of the fatigue. If your physical health checks out, fine, but this deep exhaustion just
Yeah.
persists. If rest, good food, even exercise aren't really touching it, that's a massive flag from your
It's
psyche.
different from I'm tired because I did X.
Exactly. I'm tired all the time no matter what I do or don't do.
Yeah.
It's this deep foundational weariness that can make you feel, well, kind of flat, like you're moving through life in 2D instead of 3D.
Flat, yeah, I get that.
And you deserve to feel 3D, you know? So if that constant low energy state sticks around, it really does warrant getting a clear view, probably with professional help. Something is running a deficit, and you need to figure out the source.
Okay, so we've talked about the brain struggling, pulling away from others, feeling utterly drained, and now we get to maybe the most abstract sign, but potentially the most unsettling one, that feeling that you just don't feel like yourself.
Yeah, this one's harder to pin down with words, but it's deeply disturbing when you experience it.
How do we even describe it?
Well, the metaphor sometimes used is feeling like a sim, from the
Yeah.
game. Like you're this computer character just standing there waiting for instructions from some outside force. You're going through the motions.
Okay.
But then comes this really chilling realization. You are supposed to be the one controlling the sim. You're meant to be the driver, the external power. But it feels like the controls aren't working. The connection's lost.
Wow, so the body's moving, but you don't feel like you're steering it.
Precisely. This often relates to experiences like depersonalization or derealization.
Okay, what does those mean exactly?
So depersonalization.
Yeah.
That's feeling detached from yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're observing your own thoughts or body from the outside, watching a movie of you. Derealization is feeling detached from the world around you. Things feel foggy, dreamlike, unreal somehow.
Just feels off, profoundly off.
Deeply off. And you often become incredibly passive because of it. It's easy to just get swept away by negative thoughts, doubts, big waves of emotion because, well, the pilot isn't actively fighting back or navigating.
You're just along for the ride in your own body.
Yeah, it can feel like that, like a passenger watching your own life happen without your input. It's a really vulnerable state.
So what do you do when that happens, when you feel like you're floating away, the controls are gone? What's the response?
The response has to be intentional and grounding.
Grounding, you mean like focusing on something physical. I've heard things like holding ice, but wouldn't adding a new sensation just feel like more chaos?
It seems counterintuitive maybe, but the goal isn't to think your way out of it. Thinking is often part of the problem, the detachment. The goal is to anchor yourself back in your physical reality. It's like hitting a circuit breaker on the dissociation.
Ah, okay.
You need something tangible, solid, that forces your senses to engage right here, right now. The intense cold of ice, yeah, or the rough texture of the chair you're sitting on, or focusing really hard on the feeling of your breath going in and out.
Real physical sensations.
Undeniable sensations. They pull that detached awareness back into your body, back into the present moment. It interrupts the floaty feeling.
Makes sense.
And look, it's totally normal to be a bit freaked out when this happens. It is alarming. But the crucial first step is just to pause. Take a few deep, deliberate, soul-filling breaths. Notice your surroundings. And use those grounding techniques. It's an urgent signal to pay attention and focus on self-care. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot. What does this all mean, pulling it together? We've got these 4 key areas.
Mm-hmm.
The command center struggling.
Uh-huh. The brain function dip.
The deliberate retreat into isolation.
Actively avoiding others.
The silent exhaustion of that internal marathon.
Feeling drained even without physical exertion.
And that really unsettling disconnect of not feeling like yourself.
Yeah, the sim losing control.
These are subtle signs, often. They really require you to step outside, observe yourself, maybe even, like you said, take notes.
Absolutely. Becoming that self-aware observer is key. But we absolutely have to add a crucial point here.
Okay.
While understanding these signs is incredibly valuable, this knowledge isn't meant to replace professional help. Not at all.
Right, this isn't self-diagnosis.
No. If you recognize these patterns, these symptoms, and they're sticking around consistently over time, getting proper guidance and appropriate treatment from qualified professionals is essential. They can provide the medical perspective and the support needed to help reset things.
Really important point. Okay, so we started out saying change is the only constant. Maybe the biggest challenge isn't just dealing with the big storms, but actually mastering that self-observation during the slow drifts. So, here's a thought to leave you with. If you're tired of feeling like the passenger in your own sim game, tired of passively watching things unfold, what's one internal habit, doesn't have to be huge, something small, that you could start today? Something to help ensure you're the observer, really paying attention, and not just the passenger drifting along in your own shifting landscape.
Something to think about.
Definitely something to mull on. Please take care out there and stay safe.